and welcome to a new episode of the Aesthetic Effect Podcast. I'm Flavio, your host, and today I have a fantastic guest on. Without further ado, let's welcome Louie Spence.
Hello, you gorgeous guys watching. Hello, gorgeous Flavio.
Hello, Louie. How are you? You okay?
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited to talk about all of the wonderful treatments you do, all the lovely things I love having done.
Oh my God, Louie, thank you so much for being part of this. I'm so happy to have you on. Louie, listen, obviously we all know that you are an amazing dancer and choreographer and TV personality, but let's go back to a little bit the start. When you started with your career, obviously as you went to stage school, what happened then? Did you feel any pressure in the early stage of your career to look in a sort of way or to fit within an aesthetic canon at that time?
Oh, I mean, 100%. I mean, the whole of my industry, show business, is focused on your image, how you look. I mean, facially, your body. I mean, fortunately, when I was younger, you know, gravity hadn't kicked in on my face, so it sort of was holding up quite well. Oh, hold on, sorry.
You still do.
Hold on, darling. Just dropped my microphone there. Don't worry, people. It happens. Can't always be perfect. Yeah, like I was saying, when I was younger and dancing, it was everything about show business is how you look. And facially, that kind of thing was fine when I was younger. But physically, for your body, it was very important, especially in the early 90s and 2000s. There was lots of pop artists that would always have guys on there, and behind them you'd always have your top off or something, And obviously, where I was shorter, I had to work that much harder to make my physical appearance look really ripped and, really good chest and good biceps. So I had to work that little bit harder to get noticed because I was that much shorter. So yes, very much so. I wouldn't say I felt under pressure, but
did you feel under pressure, or did you feel the pressure, or you didn't feel the pressure of it?
I wouldn't say I felt under immense pressure. There was some kind of pressure, but it was part of my everyday routine to keep myself in shape, go to the gym. I was doing dance classes. So fortunately, the dancing I was doing was keeping me in shape. So it was a pressure, but there was a certain standard you had to be. And if you felt as though you were falling below that, then you would get pressured in yourself, I think I have more of a pressure now, being older, knowing that I had a physicality that was so natural and just, I went to the gym, I'd just pump up, I could eat what I wanted. And I thought that I would never gain weight. I would never lose my, my waistline. My pecs would never get saggy. I'd never get back fat or belly fat. But unfortunately, when you get to a certain age, no matter how hard you train, how much you diet, there's certain things that just don't go. It's just age. So I find that quite hard to accept. I'm getting much better, but I find that quite hard to accept.
What was the transition, would you say, in between when you were, I mean, you're still looking beautiful and young, obviously.
Thanks, darling. Well, I mean, you've given me certain little tweaks in that, darling, so what can I say?
But you still, what was the transition in between, like, when you were fully on as a dancer and choreographer into that transition out of it? Was it quite difficult to transition from that period, or was it like a normal transition that you felt like this is it, like, this is what happens to all of us, even like football players or tennis players in general? How was that transition for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing like you're saying for those kind of sportsmen, for footballers, for tennis players, for dancers, it's a very short career. We start very young, like sometimes I started when I was 5, 4. Wow. So, and I did it my whole life. It's very intense, but it's a very short career. So you get to do these amazing things and travel the world. I was like, traveling the world with the Spice Girls, staying in 5-star hotels with them. And there's not many dancers who got the opportunity to travel to America, because when we were doing that, there's, the biggest band before the Spice Girls broke America was the Beatles, and they didn't have dancers. So it's an amazing opportunity, to actually do that. So all the wonderful things I got to do, and then I got to an age where I thought I'm just too old to be dancing behind, 17, 18-year-olds, and I'd done everything I felt as though I'd wanted to do. I'd traveled the world, I'd done pop, I'd done theatre, you know, I'd done many different things, and I just felt as though it was my time to stop, but it was a bit of a shock.
Sure. And would you say, like, you obviously having a very successful TV career now, you've been in so many shows.
Yeah.
Do you think, for example, like, then again, another transition from being an athlete, you know, looking after your body to top notch, and now to be on TV so often.
Yeah.
How do you feel like keeping up, you know, your skin to be camera ready, your face to be camera ready? Is that a different kind of pressure? Or
100%. 100%. It was very different when, I mean, I become famous very unexpectedly from Pineapple doing an observational documentary. I never even thought that this would happen to me. No, it wasn't even in my, you know, I didn't even think it. We were just doing a show what was on Sky. I thought, oh, no one's going to watch it, you know. Yeah. But when it did happen, I mean, you know, it aired on the 10th of February, and I was on Jonathan Ross with Gwyneth Paltrow, Paul Weller, and some other people, like in April. It was just insane. The difference was, when I was a dancer, or if I was in the West End, you know, when I was in Cats, I was a lead role, but my face was full of makeup. When I was doing Spice Girls, Take That, whoever I was dancing with, I was a background dancer. So the focus wasn't on me, it was on them, but I was part of the production. But when the focus became on me, and then I would look at my face like this on a camera, I would listen to my voice, I would see my reactions. It was a very different experience, and you become very critical of yourself because you don't really know what you sound like. You don't realise you maybe, you know, do this all the time or do that. There's certain little quirks or habits you have. So it was a very, very different experience, and it was quite intense because I became famous and I was 41 going on 42. So really, you know, I was out of my prime in a sense, as in already my face had started to change. I already started to get grey hair in my beard. I already started to get a few lines. You know, I already looked different, and I didn't know I looked like that. Because when I looked in the mirror, I just see myself in the morning. But when you see yourself on a camera or on a TV show for like 5 minutes, you really study yourself. And I thought, I didn't realise I looked like that. I didn't realise that, you know, this sort of was a bit wonky, or that was like this. So, yeah, it was very different and very intense. And I was much more critical of myself that time than before when I was as a dancer.
Wow. And Louie, just, you know, you touched a really important point, actually, and hopefully I'm able to ask you this question, but...
Ask me what you like. There's no bars hold, darling. I've got nothing to hide. I don't care what you want to ask.
How did it, I'm very actually curious to understand, how did that potentially affect your mental health? Like, you know, this seeing yourself, you know, these different lights and different corners, you know, did it make you feel... You know, did it change you in any which way? Did you want you to change something about yourself to fit standards?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I've always suffered with mental health. I've had anxiety, you know, for, well, as long as I can remember, from a child. So I've always suffered with a lot of anxiety, not really so much depression, but more anxiety. But this, literally, my anxiety went, you know, off the scale, because even though I seemed like a very confident and, you know, social person on the TV shows, I was in a surrounding that I was comfortable with. I was with people I was comfortable with. But having, like, strangers just approaching you and touching you and wanting to talk to you, and they wanted that person that they'd seen on the TV, and that was a part of me, but it wasn't the whole of me. That sort of sent my anxiety, you know, right over the edge. I become, you know, actually quite reclusive. I didn't really want to go out. I would turn that person on when I needed to. But in a way, it sort of takes away obviously your anonymity and your freedom. And I'm just saying that from somebody who's, you know, I'm not a major celebrity by any means. I'm no David and Victoria Beckham, or, you know, like when I was with the Spice Girls, it's a completely different league. Yeah. But still, even though I'd been brought up in that industry, and I'd been with mega famous people, and I'd seen them being chased by paparazzi, or, you know, all these things happening to them, I was on the outside looking in. And actually, when I looked in, I thought it looked quite glamorous. I thought, oh, how fabulous that must be. Because you do. I think anyone does. But the reality of it, it's not really, because, like I say, you lose your sense of privacy. And listen, I don't care if people want to take photos, come up to me. That's fine. I don't mean it like that, because I've been very privileged. What's happened to me has given me a very privileged life. So, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I feel bad for that happened to be poor me. It's given me anxiety because of this. I already had it. It just made it worse. But, you know, on the other hand, I do understand what a privileged life I've been given from the exposure that I had, and it comes at a price. And that price is, you know, I have to accept that if members of the public want to come and speak to me, I have to be polite to them. I have to give them what they want, because they have given me so much.
Absolutely. If you, obviously we know now that, you know, the social media world, like, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you know, everything is out there so quick these days. If you get your long career that you have had, and still have, starting today with the pressure of literally having this, you know, bombarded from every corner, do you think it would have been the same or a little different, or maybe not change at all?
No, I think it would have been. I think it would have been very different, because when I first became famous, there was Twitter, and that was fairly new as well. And I did go onto it, and like, you know, in a very short period of going onto it, I had like 1 million followers. You know, it was insane. You know, people just, you know, you put rubbish up and whatever. But I think the way that you structure your career now, if you're in the public eye, is very much social media based. And you've got to be careful what you say, careful what you do. Even if you're somebody like me, I say, you know, I don't represent gay people. I don't represent LGBTQ. Even though I am gay, I don't want that responsibility of, you know, being the spokesperson, because I'm really not educated on every part of that. So, but you're already put into that. That's already, because you are, and you're in the public eye, you have to be aware of what you say, how you say it, because it can affect people. So it's very different now how you portray yourself. And sometimes, you know, you're not portraying your true self, because you're having to protect, one, your brand, two, other people who may be influenced by what you're saying. And also the other thing is, thank God it happened to me when it did. Financially, it's very different as well. When I first became famous, there wasn't really, Towie hadn't started, Chelsea hadn't started, I don't think Geordie Shore had. And even though mine was an observational documentary, it was viewed as some kind of reality, but it wasn't scripted. But the fact is, financially, I lucked out, because I became this unique kind of persona that everybody wanted a bit of, and there wasn't all the people from Love Island, people from Towie, people from Geordie Shore, people from Chelsea. It was a very small pool, so there was a lot more money. So I fortunately, one, you know, like I say, financially, I lucked out, which was great for me. Whereas now, you know, if you say I don't want to do a job, they go to the next gay. Do you know what I mean? Or the next one, you know, there's always somebody what will say yes. And so, you know, I count myself very lucky that even though we were talking about mental health and all of that and things maybe I had to sacrifice from that, I got, you know, I got rewarded very well financially for it. Whereas now, you know, these kids are coming out and doing these shows, and then no one's interested in them once the next season comes on, and it's so traumatic for them. You know, and talk about, we're talking about aesthetics for somebody, like I said, I became famous when I was older. These kids are becoming famous like 20, 21, 22. For them, it's even more so the aesthetic. Things maybe they don't need doing yet. They absolutely don't need. They over tweak, they over lip fill, they over cheek fill, and they become lost in that at such a young age, because they will go to their local hairdresser who has gone on a weekend course to do fillers and Botox. They end up coming out like a cyclops with one eyebrow up here. You know, they've got, I mean, I don't know about apples in their cheeks, darling. Some of them look like they've got melons. You know, because they don't have the financial means to go to somebody who's a real specialist, knows what they're doing, and will tell them the truth. You don't need this. This is what I will do. So I think the pressure for them is much more in the aesthetic world, And I'm sure you must have had people come in here
Oh my God.
who have gone to their local hairdressers.
Oh my God.
While they're doing, someone cutting someone's hair, they're in a corner in a cupboard, having their face filled with, you know,
Yeah.
you don't know what, with somebody who really hasn't got
I
the
know.
knowledge or the expertise.
I think
That's
it's
the
very
thing.
important. I think it's very important, Louis, to learn how to say no. And a lot of people, they just don't feel the need to say it. You know, like one thing that we always do here, if someone doesn't need a treatment, the word is literally no, you don't need it, and full stop, you know. But well, you touch a very good point, and I'd love to know what Louis Spence does to look so fabulous.
Oh,
What-
darling, right, okay, well, how much time have you got? At the moment, I have almost nothing. But after this session, I don't know if you're going to film a little bit of it, you're going to be giving me some lovely treatment. So you can film that. But I would say at the moment I've got nothing. I've just done pantomime. So I've just done 54 shows in a month. And when I do panto, it's very expressive. So I do like, I have my treatments twice a year normally. But when I do panto, I prefer to be a bit more expressive because, you know, for the show and it's live in the theatre, I think it's important. But what have I had done?
Like what would be your favorite? So if I can ask one of your favorite treatment that you've done, like any, like years ago, lately, something that really worked for you.
I think my overall favourite treatment, when it's done by an absolute professional who knows exactly what they're doing and do exactly what you ask, and I think it's very important for men. For women, not so much. I'm not saying it's not important, but what I'm going to get to is how the look happens after. One of my favourites is Botox. The reason being is that it's fairly instant. It lasts for, 6 months. It's a good result. And the thing is, I don't do these things for other people. Anyone wants to know, I'll tell them exactly why I've done it. I'm not bothered. It's not for them. At my age now, it is for me, because once you get to a certain age, when you wake up in the morning and you just you just constantly look tired for some reason. It's just age. That's what it is. Now, there's a little file and there's some little needles that you can have little bits of treatment done by somebody what knows what they're doing, and you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and you look fresh and you feel good about yourself. That's what's important for me. I don't want to be, now there's people what like to have Botox and not move, like not their eyebrows, nothing. I don't like that. I personally like it very natural. I still like to have a bit of movement. And for men, the one thing I have had done before, what has happened to me, and I never went back to the person, was, it can happen to anyone. I got an arch in my eyebrow, which I absolutely hate, like the Spock eyebrow, which I absolutely,
not it.
And for me, when I have my Botox, when my eyebrows are out, I like to, even if I can't lift up, I like my eyebrows to stay where they are. Not if I try to lift up this.
No.
You see? So that's why it's important to get something there. So my favourite is Botox, because like I said, the convenience, it's quick, it has great results, and it lasts for a long time. I've had mono threads, which isn't the threads, as you know, which you put in and pull up like a string. They're like little toothpicks, them toothpicks you get, and it has a thread in them, a very fine thread. And you just, I had it all under my chin, all along here. And what I'd explain it as, it's like scaffolding. So you can have it in this way, and then they can put it in that way. And what happens is, you'll be more expert than me. Is that where it puts it in,
you explained it really well, actually. So.
Yeah, it stimulates your collagen. So your collagen then, so it fills out. But where you're putting the mono threads in like this and like this, it's like scaffolding.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. And literally, it made a difference to my chin because I started to get that kind of. It's like as you get older, you start to get this bit here. But I also had it in my here as well. You can have it all over your face, and that's one of my favourites too. I love Profilo. The treatment where you have the hyaluronic acid. That. Yes,
that's phenomenal.
And that really, and it really works. That's something which is fairly instant as well, because you do notice after a couple of weeks, you wake up and your skin looks alive and fresh, and it does plump up. You just look fresh. So if you've had the Botox and you have the Profilo, then the lines are relaxed, so you feel that. But then your skin is it's vibrant. Yeah. It's like your skin is alive. You can feel the fluid in it. It's just plumper, and it just looks really healthy. What else have I done? I've had them fat injections, not them, no, the ones, not the orange ones. I had something years ago. That didn't really work for me. Not the new semi-glutide, not that thing.
We're talking about face, right? Was it some injection?
No, I had that on my stomach. I had it on my chin as well.
Yes, got it. So
yeah, I had it on my chin, but I didn't find that worked too well for my chin. I found the mono threads worked a lot better. Botox, I've had a little bit of filler before. I had filler here, there, which my lines aren't too deep there, actually. My lines aren't too bad there, considering like my age. But when I had them there, I liked the result when I was like this. But it just felt a little bit strange. When I tried to smile, I felt as though it sort of blocked my smile. So I felt as though I couldn't smile fully. But yeah, so that's sort of the treatments I've had. Well, I mean, really, I you know, I will try anything that is not permanent in a sense, that will give me a natural look and just make me look fresh, you know.
But that's exactly what we want. I think the whole industry, anyway, Louie, is moving away from the old-fashioned things that we used to do years ago, of bigger lip, bigger cheeks, you know. We kind of shifting towards a way more natural way of approaching it. And I think things that you do, they're brilliant because they keep you looking as you do for many years to come without changing the way you look completely. So you will look as Louie, fresh Louie, for years to come. So your hyaluronic acid, the little bit of toxins, you know, these are just the best treatment just to look natural and most importantly, fresh.
I think that the most important thing is once you get to a certain age, that, you know, some people can think that aesthetic treatment is expensive. It is not, because if you have it, maybe like I say, twice a year, then the benefits you get from it outweigh the cost because you feel so much more positive and better about yourself. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, going and getting a facelift or having cheek fillers or having your lips like this. What I'm talking about is what, you know, what you give to me, that very natural look that keeps me fresh. And people say to me, you look well, you know, and I will say to them, instead of, most people don't say, oh, what have you done? Because I look so natural. But I will say to them, oh, I've had, you know, hyaluronic acid, the you know, what's that called?
Hylo.
Yeah, I've had that, or I've had a little bit of Botox here, or had a little bit of filler there. And they're like, oh my God, I wouldn't have known because it looks natural. But like I say, I think, you know, and also these people, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people may go out to eat with their friends on a Friday and it will cost them maybe, let's say, 60 quid a head. And then they get maybe three bottles of wine a week at £6 or even £10, that's £30.
Yeah.
So you do that over a month, then, you know, in 1 month, you can have a treatment that's going to last for 6 months. And even if you are having those bottles of wine, it's replenished your skin, it's replumped it, it's done all of that to it, and you will feel better about yourself rather than thinking, oh, I had a really heavy weekend and I look like crap. Well, treat yourself once every 6 months or once every 3 months. You can go out and do that and you'll still look fabulous. Because believe me, you know, gravity, no matter who, unless you can walk on your hands and talk out of your ass, which I can, you've got no chance. It will get everybody. So all of these treatments, I'm not talking, like I said, not going under the knife, all of these aesthetic treatments, all the ones that replenish your skin with your amino acids, with your hyaluronic acid, all of those, treat yourself. You will not think that was a waste of money because you will look fabulous.
Louie, I've got one more question for you.
Go on, my darling, because I can talk the leg off a chair. You need to tell me to shut up.
Louie, what advice would you give a young Louie starting in the industry now that you have all this experience under your belt?
Well, I know what that would be. This is in everything. Don't worry about what hasn't happened and don't worry about what may happen. And I know everybody says this. I know people say live in the moment. It's very hard to live in the moment. But the truth of it is, the one blessing that happens as you get older, you realise that all the worrying you did about even if it's how you look, what job you're going to get, where you're going to move, if you're going to have a house, all of those worries, and then you get to a certain age and think, well, nothing changed. I'm still here. I'm still the same person. And I spent all of that time unnecessarily worrying about money, about, you know, and I know as long as you've got your health, you love yourself. And if you're fortunate to have somebody that loves you, then that is it. Don't look any further. Just literally try and embrace yourself, enjoy life. It's too short. And I know people say that when they get older, but I have had such a privileged life. And, you know, when I was dancing and then what happened to me after, it didn't change who I was as a person, my anxieties, my insecurities. But with age, I have learned that they are not worth worrying about. Just worry about the moment you're in. And if the moment you're in is good, life is good.
So true, Louie. Well, let me just say one thing, Louie. You still got it. Never lost it. Louie, thank you so much. I've had such a great fun. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome, my darling. And can I just say thank you as well for all the wonderful treatments, for keeping my skin young, for keeping me looking like this, and always being honest and telling me yes or no, this is right or this is wrong. Because I think the most important thing, if you are having any kind of aesthetic treatment, is to go to a practitioner who is fully qualified and knows what they're doing. That is key.
I know, Louie. Thank you so much. It was
Un bacio,
absolutely
amore.
great to talk to you.
Arrivederci.
Ciao, bello.
Ciao, ciao.